rapping whole like a blue. Only one shoot at these niggas call the young blue.
Most women do not like men who dress better than them. All right. Most women do not like men who dress good. Okay. And I feel like that is a fact that has stayed prevalent for the past few hundred years, ever since the Proterozoic arc, all the way from the Paleozoic arc. I definitely didn't search that up until 2025. I feel like women, for many reasons which they are entitled to, do not perceive good-looking men in terms of the fashion, the outward attire, very attractive. All right, and I'm going to explain to you why in this video. And I, as your leader, will explain to you how I found an excellent loophole right around this, just to combat it, before we get to, my beautiful points,
Welcome to the Inner Monologue.
For today's episode of the Inner Monologue, whoa.
So for today's episode of the Inner Monologue, I am going to let ChatGPT rate me on a scale of 1 to 10. Yes, ChatGPT is going to determine how attractive I look to women. Alright, it's going to be legendary. Yeah, so here I am. Wait, hold on.
I got ChatGPT open, and we're going to import a photo and ask it to rate me 1 through 10. What the hell is that? But first, we have to ask for, consent first. And yeah, as you can see, it said yes.
This is a decent test photo. This is a decent one too, so I'm gonna use this. I really, really like this one. I took this very recently, and I was in a horrible mental state, but I really like this one. Good one, I really like this one. Yeah, and I'm also gonna use this. This is like an old photo of me. Wait, no. No, wait, why do I have? So since ChatGPT wants to be that guy, not letting me import photos, as you can see, I'm gonna use the better alternative, DeepSeek. Look at this. This goofy hours on ChatGPT on a different account, and here we go.
Let's put the fries in the back, bro. Give me a rate, dog.
Y'all see that? Guys, this is legendary. This is legendary. Just so you know, my whole life I've been called Chalk. And for the past, 5-6 years, ever since I knew about the whole rate me from 1 to 10, that type of trend, I've never asked anyone for a rate scale. You know what I'm saying? I've never asked anyone to, rate me from 1 to 10 because for 1...
It sounds desperate.
Alright, and for 2, I don't really care. Alright, I don't care that much. Like, I look at myself at the mirror after a goon session, I'm just like... this is life. This wasn't really to, flex on anyone. I just want to see how ChatGPT looked at it. And I kind of want, low-key, I kind of want to cliff farm because I thought it would give me a 5 or something like that. Or like a 6 or something like that. The hell? Low-key, though, I wanted a cliff farm, bro. Because, you know what I'm saying? Like imagine I got a 6, bro. That'd be amazing cliff farm. That'd be insane cliff farm. That'd be insane. Yeah, let's get back to the video, shall we?
Let me start by establishing the fact that, yes, of course you can pull women based off dressing, really, really nicely. Some women, they die to touch or talk to a man that dresses zesty, you know what I'm saying? Some women, they just like the, wisdom or net spend archetype. But the thing is, the only disadvantage that comes to this is that you have to really just go down to a specific niche, so much to the point where, you realize that there are barely any woman that, really wants that type of guy, you know what I'm saying? You only see that on the internet because most of these women do not go outside, all right? They are chronically online, okay? That's the only reason why you see most of them online and not in person. That's one thing. And then a second thing is that, yeah, of course you can pull women when you dress zesty, if you're attractive, of course. You have to be over, the 9 out of 10 on the Richter scale, you know what I'm saying? To get away with damn near everything. You can get away with murder, all right? If you're attractive enough, all right? Like, dog. We have gotten to the point where women in specific, not really making, not really gay thing. But Jeffrey, he was gay, but let me get to it. Women are, fantasizing about Jeffrey Dahmer. Okay? Jeffrey Dahmer, the American all-rounder serial killer, all right?
You know what the difference is between Jeffrey Dahmer and every other serial killer? It's that he
Really doesn't care.
He literally does not care. He murdered, he cannibalized, he dissected body parts down to the intestines. All right, and down to each limb. All right, put them in the freezer and call that
Meal prep. Okay?
And in the interviews, he's excited talking about it. He's excited. He's ecstatic just mentioning that. Just mentioning, how he captured his bodies. He's excited mentioning that. Like, look back at those interviews, okay? The interviewees, talk about murder, and this guy's face just lights up. Like, dog, he does not care. Like, Charles Manson, Ted Bundy, they may have had, some regrets at, the latter end
of their life, and they talk about that to a certain extent, but Jeffrey Dahmer, he really doesn't care. He's not even clip farming. This is like his life. Like, you can literally like compare this guy to, Body Blue. You know what I'm saying? They're both doing it for a sport and the love of the game.
Back to my point, you have to be attractive and really attractive, to bypass, the zesty remarks that you may get for dressing zesty. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I feel the need to talk about what I mean when I talk about dress good. All right, tier 4 of the iceberg of fashion. And like archives and stuff like that, straight up looking at like clothing line, fashion weeks and stuff like that from the mid 2000s. So you got to the point where you're not really bidding prices for archive clothing. You got to the point where you're desensitized to spending $300 on a Burberry shirt.
Spending 1.2K, literally like a month of hard work at a Walmart. All right, on an if 6 was 9 belt. All right, these type of guys, if you're that type of guy and you're into that fashion, I'm talking to you. All right.
If you're like a regular streetwear type of guy, this doesn't really like count for you guys. And it's not to say that you guys don't dress good. You're trying your best to dress like this. All right, on a regular day-to-day basis, you try to dress like this, and sometimes it may work, sometimes it may not work, but you'll never be as good at this guy. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, and for the first reason onto why dressing kind of zesty won't get any huzz. Because for one, it's kind of feminine to the point where it's like borderline gay to some women. And to explain that, you just have to know that if you dress like just as good or just as feminine or like even better than said woman or something like that, like some women just perceive like paying attention to the intricate details in your outfit as some sort of like way expressing your homosexuality in some way, which is not true for you because of course you're straight, right? You're straight. Okay, it just proves how the traditional norms that society is built for us still prevails in our generation. All right, we men, we are seen as the guys who do not try when it comes to stuff like this. We're the manual workers. We are the breadwinners of our family. We as a men do not foam in the mouth as soon as we see a rash skin and skirt. We don't even, if it's butt booty naked, then so be it. If the society said we can get our butt booty naked, so be it. Yeah, if women perceive that you do care, it kind of takes like the whole masculinity thing out of your entire being. Women are scared of men like that. They believe that as soon as they go on a date with them, they're gonna try to go on a date with their best friend that's supposedly a man. And second off, this is gonna be a very, very short reason. Women are going to believe that you are trying too hard. All right, trying too hard to put on clothing and stuff like that. Kind of also ties into my first reason. I'm trying too hard to to put on an outfit. Women take that as more as a feminine thing than a masculine thing. Like, for example, I had a situation where I was getting ready for a party and stuff like that, and I wanted to put on my best outfit, you know what I'm saying? I always got to show up and pop out, for the family, you know what I'm saying? And then my sisters, they got out and, did their makeup and did everything. I was there, still trying to, like, figure out what fit to put on. And then they were like, oh, why the hell are you taking longer than us? Are you gay? Or something like that. They literally asked me, like, are you a straight up, like, my sisters have known me for 19 years of my life, and they asked me in that moment, are you a homosexual? Bro, you know how hard it is? It gets to that point with some of these women, bro. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to be the first guy to say it. It's shallow, okay? It's shallow. Okay, I know you guys are trying to like look out for yourselves, but first talk to the person, all right? Talk to the guy, who dresses up good, and see if you see any zest from there. But no, you're gonna straight up assume that due to the fact that the thing is, like, they can go and purchase men's pants and stuff like that, and men's shirts, and go all dilly dally throughout their day, and not get any lesbian headlines or something like that. Dress better than men and everything, and then boom, we don't see them as any sort of masculine or something like that. But no, let a man take some time to his outfit, and then boom, there are DL allegations. DL. I don't get it. Another story before we get to the third reason, all right? It was senior year, and it was like, there's a whole thing in my school where for the first 3 years of high school, you have to like dress in a uniform. But in the fourth year, you can dress like basically in any form, shape or form you want, all right?
But you have to wear like a college shirt, all right? So, I was popping out, you know what I'm saying? I was dressing out, if I do say so myself. And there was this one girl who hit on every guy in my friend group, each and every guy in my friend group, all right? Each, like, literally, like, I wish, like, I was exaggerating, but no, all right? My friend group was diverse, all right? Very, very diverse, you got an Indian, you got an Ethiopian, a Mexican, and stuff like that. She hit on all of them, and even though I didn't want to be hit on, I was like, when is it my turn? You know what I'm saying? I'd like to experience some type of female gratification sometime in my life, all right?
Eventually, I'm at a Wendy's, and I see this girl, right? I don't really want to talk to her, but I do kind of want to get a reaction from her. But I don't really say anything, but I just stand there. I'm just like there, you know what I'm saying? Just waiting to,
And then, out of nowhere, she asked me, and this is our first conversation, by the way. She asked me if I'm a homosexual.
Look, bro, shout out to me back then, because when I heard that, I
Immediately left. I didn't say a single word.
I didn't say a single word to her. All right, shout out to me, bro. I just left the Wendy's. All right, I didn't have nowhere to go. I was just walking out. You know what I'm saying? I left the Wendy's as I should. All right, slay, T.
That's my third reason onto why you're not a chick magnet or anything if you dress zesty. People are saying dress zesty, but that means you dress good, all right? And what I mean by dressing zesty, again, is by, not being afraid to dress in feminine clothing. And I feel like that's a good thing, all right? I feel like that's a great thing. I do that myself, you know what I'm saying? I sometimes go to the women's section whenever I shop on Depop, so it's great. It's great vibes. Kind of forgot most of the video in the morning, but what I wanted to add was that one of the drawbacks of being, a fashion guy is that you're only seen as a fashion guy. All right, in a big community, you know what I'm saying? If you don't have anything else going for you, like me, for example, only be looked at as a guy with, the high fashion. You know what I'm saying? You would not really unless you talk to other people, which maybe you don't, it would be harder for you to make a personality out of yourself. Actually, wait, no. What I mean is that women in general wouldn't really take you as seriously due to the fact that they see you and could have objectified you in a sense to where they put you in a box where you're just like the fashion guy. And again, the whole fashion thing, it's a specific niche. So yeah, you're just the guy that's well dressed and wouldn't really be the guy that would go on dates with, you know what I'm saying? You're kind of seen as, some sort of commodity as to which you identify as. In short, you're just a fashion guy, all right? You're just a fashion guy and nothing more, nothing less. Unless you communicate, all right? In terms of, getting a woman in a dating pool, especially in college, as to say, it was better for me than for, some men who dress as good as me. And I'd like to give you some of the reasons why. For one, all right, at this time, I was going to the gym a lot, and my main goal was, just bulking up. I was a frail 160, a very, very frail 160 pounds. And then boom, by the end of the semester, the fall semester, I was a good 190.
I gained a lot of muscle, right? I don't know if this is, wait, hold on. Okay, so not so good lighting, but in and out of my prime, I hadn't exercised.
But the thing is, I had a masculine frame. And this masculine frame is one way to, kind of find a loophole around this whole dressing feminine thing. As soon as I was getting bigger and was bulking and stuff like that, my clothes that I would wear during my day-to-day would get shrink on my body, and would create kind of like what do they call it, compression like aesthetics, especially like relating to my arms, to the point where it's like more of my muscles showing than like the actual outfit. I have two images over here that show you a clear example of how much things change for me. So the reason why I'm telling you this is that for one, if you have a more masculine frame, this would get you a lot more chances with, the ladies around. Take care of yourself, get yourself, a little bit more of a masculine build, and women will see you women will, see you more masculine than not when you're wearing, your elite clothing, as one would say. Reason two was that I was also tall, all right? For number two, second reason is literally just like, be tall, all right? I can't sugarcoat this any longer. One of the main reasons why some women still, talk to me for more than like, 10 minutes throughout their day, is due to the fact that I'm also tall and women like tall men. Not to say that if you're short and stocky, you can't polycel women, but I'm just saying, if you don't have like the first thing I said earlier in the video, then, you're doomed. All right, you're like that. Women like tall men. I feel like the whole main point of these reasons onto why I kind of negated the whole, oh yeah, he looks too feminine type of thing, is due to the fact that I look more masculine. All right, and I feel that's like that sums up all of my reasonings. Okay, and also, use it to your advantage. All right, very much use more masculine clothes to your advantage. All right, there was this one time I kind of did a little experiment where I dressed like less zesty to class one day, not to class, but on campus, where I had like this leather jacket, not a leather jacket, a suede jacket. Below it, I had a compressed tee, which wasn't really a compressed tee. It was a short that I kind of like grew out of, so it looked like a compressed tee. It showed more of my defined chest, as you guys, please, like, focus on your chest when you're working out, okay? Please, guys. But yeah, and also I had pants that weren't really too baggy and had more of a flared fit, so it was way more of a balance than not. Some of the jewelry I was wearing to kind of not look as feminine. Yeah, I talked to some women and stuff like that, and it went out great for me. It went out really, really great for me. You know what I'm saying? I got an Instagram and everything, and I even met this girl at the day that I was wearing it and stuff like that. And we went on to go, like, you know, on a date and stuff like that. But eventually, she left me for a rapper. Yes, you heard that right. She left me for a rapper. I love how, you know, I'm tying all my videos to, you know, that one story. But that video on how a rapper stole my girlfriend will be in the suggested. All right. So let that be your next video to watch after this. And with that, you know, this is my end to the video. Would you rather go to a meet and greet with a cum-eating emo pervert that you knew from school from 5 videos ago? But the payment to meet him is to advice one of your straight homies, and to a person with so